Oh, now it's all right. Okay, go.
Okay, I'm Brigham Larson with Brigham Larson Pianos, and the purpose of this video is to teach how to tie a bass string. And it actually applies also to other strings, but I generally don't like to do it on the all steel strings. The only reason I like to do this is in some circumstances it just makes more sense to tie the bass string as opposed to taking all the measurements, calling it into the supply house, waiting till it comes in, and then setting another appointment with the customer and going to put it in. It's just kind of a hassle. I never ever use universal strings. They sound absolutely awful and they don't match with their unison neighbors, and they buzz oftentimes. Never use universals. But in some circumstances, if the string breaks in the right place, tying the string can be a great option. I've never noticed that the tone is any different on a tied string than on had the string not broken in the first place. Okay, so the string that I'm using here just for this video is a string that I don't know what happened, but somehow I don't know if the supply house made a mistake or if I made a mistake or what, but obviously this coil is way too short, so I'm just gonna cut it off right there as if it were a broken string. Usually when they break, they break at the becket, which is right there at the tuning pin. But since this string is not stretched, I'm gonna simulate the stretch of that much by cutting it off short, and anyway, you know, so the knot will be right in the middle, which is where you want. Which, incidentally, by the way, if I mentioned a minute ago that the string has to break in the right place, and that's at the becket. It has to give you enough room to tie the knot, and you don't want the knot on this side of the speaking length pin here. You want it in this section here. So you need plenty of leader or plenty of old string so that you can tie the knot in this middle section here. So like in this lower pin that's a lot closer to the beginning of the speaking length, if it broke at the becket, even though this is a shorter length here, you'd still, you know, it's a little bit trickier, but you'd still have enough length there to tie the knot. Sometimes they break down here and just don't do it. In those cases, you just have no choice. You have to get a new custom string made. Okay, so what I'm going to start out by doing is I'm going to coil this string around and make a little loop out of it. Grab it. Oh, let's look at these pliers. These are special pliers. They're round all the way around. They do have little grips on the inside, fairly small. I think they do. Or maybe those are just nicks from having done this a lot. So I grab it and then I kind of cinch it around. See, I don't notice I didn't start it all the way at the end, but I started in there a little bit. And I'm just going to keep grabbing it and spinning it around until it's gone, what is that, 270 degrees? Is that right? 270 degrees?
That's 1.5 times. 3/4 of the time around.
Yeah. So there you have one time around. And it doesn't matter, at least not yet, if I go behind the string or in front of the string. And this, I happen to go behind the string. Is that battery flashing?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now I got a piece of wire that's the same, 16.5, and the same as that core there. Okay, same thing, I'm going to grab it about that far from the end and coil it, and this time I'm going to go the opposite of what I went. So before I went around and to the back, this time I'm going to go around to the front. Just like that. Now, you can picture it. What I want is the string to be bearing against itself. If it were in this way, and it were to bear, it would just come right out. But if it's that way, it bears against itself. So first thing, let's see. I can never remember this. Is that right? Yes. That is right. Okay, so now it's bearing against itself. And see it forces that against its own wire. And then put this in on this side again, not on that side, but it has to be in like that. Okay, and there's how it looks at the beginning. And I don't know, I don't have to tighten it. I kind of like it to look nice. I'm going to tighten up that coil a little bit. Tighten it up there. Then I'm going to cut the leader. And usually I use 4 fingers to measure, but when I do a string tie, I'm going to use 3 or even 2.5 because it's going to cinch up that knot quite a bit, and I still want it to be 3 times around, between 3 and 3.5, maybe 4. So I'm going to use like 2.5 fingers from the pin to where I cut it. So I've got it there. There's 2.5 fingers. You grab my coil. You can use this kind. Go all the way through so it's flush. Wrap it around. I'm not going to go. Usually I like to go more, but since I'm tying a string, I'm just going to go. That should be plenty. Yep. Take it off. And then transfer it to the pin. There I have it in the becket. Make sure I can squeeze that in there. Okay, and it'll come out because it's not tight. Put it on there. Grab this this tool. I'm going to get it as straight and tight as possible, and then every little turn I'm going to give it another push in like that. Try and get
Pushing on the becket there.
Yeah, pushing on the becket into the hole. Same thing. Just want that becket to be all the way in. Cinch that up nice and snug. Okay, now it should start to tighten that knot. I'm going to tighten that again. So now it's looks like perfect coil. It's about 3 3 1/3 of the way around. I won't be able to get this up to pitch because it's just the coil isn't long enough, as we saw earlier. But that's fairly tight. I don't know how far to go because it's just usually the pitch will tell me, you know, when I've gone far enough, but since that pitch won't be the same, I don't really know. Okay, then I'm going to go through my normal. I'm going to tap that coil. I want that becket to be all the way in. I use this. I've got the compound strength of the vice grips to force that becket in. I'm going to tap it down so it's tight, and I want to see half. I want to see half the hole. This is just the normal string procedure. Okay, there we go. I can start to see it peek through. It's not half yet though. Okay, it's more or less, it's about half. If you can picture it, it's the becket goes in the hole, and then by the time it makes half a revolution, it should uncover half the hole. Okay, so that's a nice coil that seems like a nice knot. Sometimes I'll even, you know, just tap a little bit on the knot, and I'll even see it move a little bit. And I don't know, I'd be interested to know if other people have had experience with that. It just seems like, and as I watch it, it goes flat a little bit as I'm tapping on that knot, which tells me it's cinching up that knot even tighter, thereby taking up any remaining energy that might be in it that might normally take weeks or months to slowly crimp together, thereby making it way flat. And I'm wondering if, you know, I'm kind of speeding it up. That's my theory, and it seemed to work for me fairly well over the years. And then I'll also do this coil tightener, which is kind of cinching it, tightening it at all angles around the pin. I do that 100 times, and that'll also make it go flat, which also tells me that it's taking up that extra energy. And what you want to shoot for in that knot, you want about a 1/4 inch tail on either side. You've got to, if you can look closely there, you see about 1/4 inch on each tail, and that's going to be a solid. It's going to be a solid repair. And another thing that you want to do is I'm going to tap this so that it's flush with all its neighbors. And that looks like a good knot. Oh, and some other things that we kind of glanced over, just kind of glanced over quickly for the sake of this video. Some other things that you want to do is you want to tap it down at the hitch pin, so that that hole of the wire is all the way snug against the plate, and it's all the way snug up into the hitch pin. I also want to turn it half turn in direction of the winding to tighten up that coil, tighten up the winding, I mean. And then I'll tune it, and I'll do my regular. If you've seen the other video, I'll do the little taps. Even though this is, in theory, it's an old string and it's already got those bends, I'll still kind of tap it just to make sure that it's in its home forever and it's not going anywhere. So yeah, there's a tied string.